Hi everyone, it's Brett. So a while back I briefly talked about the first Metroid game. I said that I didn't like the game that much, but I don't think that I even played through half the game. Is it considered okay to form an opinion on a game without even playing through the whole thing? Actually, yeah, I think that's fine. Now, was I too harsh with my thoughts on the original Metroid? Probably not, but I feel like I didn't give the game that much of a chance. So I'll go back and revisit this title and see if my opinion of it changes. First off, I'll give a little background on the game. Metroid is an action-adventure game developed back in the 1980s. It essentially took the 2D platforming of Super Mario Bros. And the open-world exploration of The Legend of Zelda. So kind of like if these two games had a baby. That was dark and edgy. Anyway, Metroid was released in Japan in 1986 on the Famicom and later came to the Nintendo Entertainment System in the West in 1987. The story is pretty serious. The Galactic Federation have this life form that was found on a planet called SR-388 and the space pirates have stolen it. These thieves plan on using the power of the Metroid to destroy the civilizations in the galaxy. The Federation went to the space pirates' hideout in planet Zebes and attacked, but failed. How badly did they fail? Not sure, but bad enough to call on Samus Aran to stop the space pirates' plans. So I originally played this game on the Nintendo Switch, and I'm going to stick to what I know. I'm going to take advantage of the platform I'm on to use save states because I don't want to suffer. Also, I'll occasionally be looking stuff up. I've found this game to be a little bit of a cryptic mess in the past. I might not be experiencing this game the traditional way, but better than running around aimlessly not knowing where to go. Anyway, time to try this game out once again. I don't like the way that Samus shows up off-centered. This is a small thing that doesn't matter that much, but this is just what I think. Minor problem aside, the way the game starts off is really well done. You can't get further going towards the right to start off, so naturally the player will eventually go to the left to acquire the Morph Ball, which can then be used to progress to the right. I really like this. It explains how upgrades allow the player to proceed through locations that they couldn't before. After this, the game becomes a giant maze with no indication on where to go. An in-game map would really have been nice, but I don't know, maybe it would have been too hard to implement maybe. Good thing I can look up a map online. When it comes to the level design, it's alright sometimes. It can be pretty repetitive though. Going through vertical sections presents the same platform arrangements quite a bit. Also, there can be similar layouts for rooms and hallways. I'd say the level design can be decent sometimes though. I think that there are some fun platforming sections. I like this pipe section too, it gives a unique challenge. Alright, so finding upgrades in this world is a lot of the time just a guessing game. To find the locations for these things, you usually have to bomb the ground and shoot the ceilings. There is no indication on where to bomb or shoot, which is terrible because there's ground and ceiling everywhere. The upgrades are really nice. It's really cool that so many of the staple upgrades Samus has were in this game to begin with. The long beam upgrade is very useful. I remember having to deal with the short range gun a lot when I played the game previously. I did not like that bullet range. When in missile mode, parts of Samus' suit turn blue, which is pretty awesome looking. Having a whole bunch of upgrades at the end of the game is pretty rewarding. Enemies are unique. I like the alien designs and they can be fun to fight. Something to note is that when there are a big amount of enemies on screen, the game starts to slow down. This happened a fair amount of times for me. Maybe it would have been better to tone the enemy count down. The music is pretty good. The track for Kraid's Lair is one of my favorites in the game. The look of the game is actually pretty solid in my opinion. I like the different colors that were used for the areas. The bubble-looking sections are aesthetically super fun and creative. When it comes to the background of the whole game, it's just a black slate of darkness. Now, a completely black background is kind of lame, but also it kind of works because it gives off the feeling of uncertainty as to what lies beyond the darkness of this planet that is devoid of human life, except Samus, who has to tread through alone. Samus really should have asked for some help. One thing that I don't like is that when Samus dies, she responds with only having 30 energy, so a lot of enemies need to be shot in order to get her health back. Also, refilling missiles can take a while too. I don't know why the developers would do this. Shooting enemies over and over again just to get this stuff is kind of boring and unengaging. So I got the long beam twice. From the same place. I guess upgrades just respawn? I don't believe that I've gotten the same upgrade twice in a Metroid game, so I don't know what's going on here, but I want to call this a bad thing. I'd call it a confusing thing. So you got 3 bosses in total, and to access the final boss you must eradicate Kraid and Ridley, which both have their own little hideouts. I tackled Kraid first, and there are so many things to dodge. He was a lot tougher than I was expecting, and he was kind of annoying. Not a huge fan of the first iteration of Kraid. Then there's Ridley. I was expecting him to be harder than Kraid, but I did not find that to be the case. It took me a little bit to figure out that the stuff in front of Ridley were fireballs. Not sure why I didn't pick that up to begin with. Anyway, I had fun fighting Ridley. Once both of them are defeated, Samus can access the final area of the game. This is where the Metroids are being held, and these things are scary. I like the area leading up to the final boss. I don't like the final boss room though. It's like the Kraid projectiles, but 5 times worse, or at least it feels like it is. It doesn't help that these shootable walls regenerate if they aren't shot fast enough. I feel like I'm being smacked around like some kind of ping pong ball. So Mother Brain is waiting at the end of the room. It's kind of fun to shoot at this thing, but I was kind of frustrated with the amount of stuff flying at me. Anyway, the game has a pretty good ending with the now iconic countdown to put the pressure on. Then Samus goes up a seemingly copy and pasted platform placement to the surface. So that's the original Metroid. I think this game was highly ambitious for the time, but it's just so ambiguous when it comes to progression. The amount of choice there is when it comes to pathways is cool, but the amount of hidden pathways turns the game into an unfair high-level scavenger hunt. There's some good stuff about the game though. I like to jump around, the combat can be enjoyable, and the upgrades are pretty nice. Overall, though, I think the game has not aged the greatest, which is what I thought the last time I talked about it. If I wasn't using save states and looking stuff up, I probably would have had a pretty bad experience. I will say that I think that I have more appreciation for the original Metroid. I respect what this game accomplished, and I went from I don't like this game that much to I suppose it's okay. Well, it seems like my opinion of Metroid has changed slightly. Back then, it felt like Samus's gun had the range of 2 full pixels, but now it feels like at least 3.